I don't know if everyone remembers. There's this area in the city called the 78, and there was a big announcement with renderings that
South Loop.
the White Sox were going to move in there with this mega complex.
I think that was a year and a half ago. We did a whole thing on it. It was like prior to the season starting. It was glorious renderings on the river right there. Like,
oh my God,
beautiful skyline. They actually the renderings actually turned the stadium so you could actually see the glorious Chicago skyline as opposed to what currently Rate Field faces. Nothingness, I guess.
Yes. There's a
we were
great
fired
view
up.
of the city on the concourse, though. On the concourse.
Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
On the concourse.
Yes. They've got like the Chicago script logo right there, and then you can take it's like a photo op. Yeah. It's pretty sweet.
They at least try to fix the issue as best they could. But
so yeah, we thought just a year and a half ago, we thought all those issues would be remedied with a kick-ass South Loop stadium for the White Sox. That just seemed like such a win-win until you realized once again Jerry Reinsdorf would not be interested in paying a fucking dime for it. He just assumed Illinois taxpayers would build him a new stadium like they did in 1991.
Because the team's so good.
Yeah. Good Lord.
Because of the winning culture of the Chicago White Sox.
Great timing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Could have been worse. But is the timing better for the Chicago Fire, who apparently are moving to that spot now, isn't it? A similar announcement with renderings and all sorts of things came out this week saying the Fire are going to develop the 78 space for a soccer-only stadium there. The key difference being that the new owner of said Fire is going to fit the bill. He's going to pay all $650 million, I think they're saying it's going to cost. He's not asking for any taxpayer money. I'm sure he's getting tax breaks similar to the Ricketts family when they renovated Wrigley Field, but they're not asking for taxpayer dollars to pay for this. So I don't know that I'm sure you've read more about it. It doesn't sound like this announcement is much different than the Sox announcement from a year and a half ago. There's nothing set in stone. There's fancy renderings and the plan is out there, but I guess the huge difference is the owner is going to fit the bill. So I would think there'd be a lot less red tape, clearly, and hurdles to cross if the owner's going to pay for it. So this seems a little more plausible, but what does this mean for the White Sox?
Well, I mean, one, I think you got to find stadium where it's at. I'm cool with them not moving.
I kind of agree.
I mean, I go to
the rate. I go to the rate, and I don't feel like I'm in a second rate ballpark. Sorry, didn't mean to do that, but I think it's fine. Like I don't understand.
They've done everything they can to like make it as cool as possible, and I think they did. Compared to where they started with it, all again courtesy of the fucking owner. But I mean, I think Plan B would still remain, and I don't know what it would take and how it would work, but the Bears are most likely the Bears are leaving Soldier Field.
Yeah,
I mean, and because it's not a dome, they're going to need something to supplement that structure outside of just the occasional concert in the summer. There's probably 10, 12 bands that come through every summer that could probably like fill that place.
Like AC/DC did for us on 2 Saturdays ago.
Right, exactly. And Beyonce the weekend before that. But
that can't exist. I think we should enumerate the potential landing places. Sox stay at 35th and Shields. Sox move to Soldier Field, which I've got questions about that. Or I saw that the White Sox are saying that just because the Fire are moving into the 78, that doesn't necessarily preclude the White Sox from doing the same. I don't know if they're trying to say that there could be 2 stadiums there, or the Fire would change their plan and have a multi-purpose stadium, baseball and soccer. I think the fourth option is they move out to Arlington Heights with the Bears and build 2 stadiums out there because they've got all the land in the world. There's options out there, but Soldier Field, you'd have to tear it down, wouldn't you, to put a baseball field in there? Like you can't just repurpose that. the
So
footprint of that.
so here's what's interesting, and I only know this. You're gonna just laugh at me when I say this.
I will.
I only know this because of well, I think it's college basketball may do this too, and for the tournaments, some of the tournament games sometimes, and tennis does this at the Miami Open. They convert the they convert the Miami Dolphins football stadium into center court,
Oh wow.
and they actually bring in these movable stands that look like I had to do. I'm like, is that really the
Well,
football field? They bring in stands that it looks just like a regular tennis court.
yeah.
And
Well,
my thought is you could build a set of stands. So let's just say from that would come in and out for right center to right field, right? That would
on the
accomplish,
existing Soldier Field,
yes. And
it's
then
too narrow.
and then
It's got to. I mean, it's only you'd have to widen that stadium by like 50% to make it wide enough for an outfield. The depth isn't the problem. I think it's the width of a football field.
well, no, because you'd be going from corner to corner.
Okay, we.
Anyway, I don't know. It
Yeah,
may not work, but
I'm just
I
thinking. There, I mean, there's all sorts of things. I think that's a pipe dream. I think you'd have to tear it down, build a new stadium, and then Jerry's not going to pay for it. So people aren't going to go for that. But the city is also desperate to do something with potentially with Soldier Field. So that's something that's going to be continuing on, like you mentioned, with they can't support that space with just a few concerts a year. So that's an issue. The space is fucking annoying. As you and I just experienced going to the ACDC show, very difficult to get in and out.
yeah,
So I think that would be. I think I'd rather go to 35th and Shields for a Sox game than I would to Soldier Field for a
I
Sox
would
game.
I would too.
I think everyone would. I think, even worse than that would be going to Arlington Heights, which I'd probably never go to another Sox game again. Of course, nobody cares because I'm not a Sox fan. But I mean, would you go to Arlington Heights for a Sox game?
Not a lot.
How I don't even. I'm suburban illiterate, but even though I lived in Chicago for 25 years, I still don't know suburbs hardly at all. Like, how would you can take the Metra out to Arlington Heights? Like, how long would that take?
Probably a metro ride from here to Arlington Heights on the train is probably like 35-40 minutes.
Okay, I know the western suburbs a bit because our buddy Callahan lives in Western Springs, and that takes me from Union Station. That's about 30 minutes to Western Springs. So Arlington Heights is northwest.
Yeah, so
Okay.
you're gonna hit Arlington Heights before you hit Schaumburg if you're coming
Okay.
from the city.
Okay.
So,
So it's
but
not
it's right around
outrageous,
there.
but
No, it's not ideal,
no.
and they'd be on the north side.
I think you could get over that, but
Nope.
okay. All right. I can appreciate that. That's why the 78 was such a perfect solution. If they had to have a new fucking stadium, put it in the South Loop. I think I would go. Certainly, if I was living in the city, I would go to more Sox games than I did. Well, maybe I'd go to the same probably, but it would be a destination if it was in that South Loop, like a fucking cool skyline, brand new stadium. It would work. It's just the fucking Jerry won't pay for it. He
Yeah.
wants other people to pay for it. So, boy, it was shocking. I mean, you think about soccer, like Jerry's losing now to a fucking soccer team in the
Well,
city. Like,
yeah, I think the question too is, does the city want the Chicago Fire to move in there? Are they going to be able to support it? Are they that popular?
I think
I
they would become more popular. They've had a terrible stadium situation for years. They were out in Bridgeview, I think,
yeah, Bridgeview.
back in the day, and they built a facility out there, thinking like they would build up the neighborhood, or the neighborhood would get built up around it, and that never happened. Nobody wanted to go out there. They just moved to Soldier Field, and nobody knows about it. Soccer is growing exponentially. In fact, I went to my first MLS game 1 month ago down in Austin, Texas. I went to a Texas FC or whatever they're called. That was the stadium there was actually really cool. I think it's very similar to what the Fire are proposing, a soccer only 22,000 seat facility. It's real simple, just a cool time. I think that would bring people, making soccer that much more accessible to people in the city would help the popularity of it as well. I don't know if you remember the Fire were a big deal. They were winning championships like 20 years ago, but they haven't been so great. And then their stadium situation's been a disaster. So I think it could be a big deal. And if the owner's putting up his own money to help develop the area, I think it would be equally as positive for the Fire as it would have been for the Sox. So it's just a cool spot, like a weird undeveloped, square of Chicago that they've been trying to figure out what to do with for decades. And Jerry fucked it up.
Well, we'll see how it plays out, but it's looking like the only pitch that is going to be at the 78 is the field.
Oh, well done, sir.
Yeah!
Word Hole Media.